Welcome to Noise and Nonsense, the podcast where the volume is always cranked to 11 and the conversation is sometimes, well, nonsensical. We're here to celebrate the loud, the weird, and the unapologetically noisy. Whether it's punk, rock, metal, shoegaze, or whatever else may be rattling your speakers. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm David. Ready for Food Truck Fridays to come back to you.
Yeah, we need to. I need to hit those up a little bit more this year. We didn't do any last year. We pretty habitual Food Truck Friday goers when the Chocolate Moose had the little outdoor building.
That was the best.
It was awesome.
Eating, we called it $100 day.
Yeah,
because I'd go there and just eat nonstop. We would pregame. This is young 30s. Mm-hmm. David, we'd pregame and head over and just eat the shit out of everything.
Yeah, it was fun though. Like the music was just right there with everything, and I don't know. Like I said, we need to get to Switchyard this year and enjoy a little bit more of that evening life in Bloomington.
Yeah,
we live out in the country, so we kind of become homebodies in the evenings.
Have you all played at a Fruit Truck Friday?
So we played there in the first Rearview Ronda set band with. So
okay.
it was our first year of playing. So it was like Ty and Tommy and I played there.
I saw you all play on the big stage. I was playing on the big stage there.
That was fun.
Yeah.
That was crazy. Yeah. It was, I don't know. I'm notorious to really, really, really fuck up during my sound check.
Yeah.
I'm so nervous.
I do that when they're like, let the bass go. And
you're
I'm flubbing every night. God damn it.
Yeah. No, it was I know we tried to play a song. I was I don't remember anything, but it was fun. It sounded great. I don't know. Little things like that are dreams come true for me in Bloomington because it's I don't know, I've lived here for so long and just didn't play music for a long time with people and I was pretty active in going to the Bryan Park music series or, obviously Switchyard didn't exist, but the Fridays at 3rd Street Park, which is called something else now.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called. Yeah.
But just watching all the musicians play and was always man, that would be awesome. So it's I don't know. We always try to do one city show a year just because, I don't know, for me it's just watching it for so many years. I've been wanting to do it. So
be part of it.
And it's fun. You get a different crowd. I mean, those crowds are different than the crowds that, go out at bars at night.
Yeah, exactly.
Not all of them, but, some.
Yeah, I think the first weekend I moved to Bloomington was Lotus. It was Lotus Festival. And I was sold right then. I was like, this happens. And someone's like, yeah, music happens all the time like this.
That's awesome. So where did you come from?
Upstate New York.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was in 2010.
Yeah.
And I came in a Friday, first day. It might not have been the first day of the festival, but it was a Friday. And just walking downtown kind of fell into it. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah. I moved here for IU, and then I was like, how do I not move out of here?
Yes. Yeah. Bloomington's a cool place.
It is fun. I like the fact that it isn't huge, but it sucks as a musician to have so much music going on in one night that there's a good chance there's no one at your show because there's 40 other shows to choose from.
Yep.
But at the same token, it's nice that there's 40 other shows to choose from. So.
Yeah, you can literally pick any genre and see it. What do you want to see? Where do you want to see it? It's everywhere.
No, I love that. I love. There's so many choices.
And hopefully we can offer some more soon.
Yeah. It looks like our guests have arrived.
Cool.
And on this week's episode, we welcome Early Gray. Hello.
Hi. How's it going?
Good.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Do you all mind introducing yourselves?
Yeah. I'm Darby Horseman.
I'm TJ Tankersley, yeah.
And we are Early Gray. So
nice. What are your roles in the band?
I'm the bassist and the vocalist.
I am the drummer, and I write a lot of our music as well. But,
A drummer that my drummer
a drummer that writes music. I know.
Well,
it's crazy.
yeah.
Also not just that, but your drum set is a dream drum set when people play with you all.
Oh yeah, for sure. That drum set I spent multiple years building it up one drum by one drum,
Nice.
just searching just miscellaneous Facebook Marketplace and reverb listings and
Awesome.
And he also does like all of the recording too for everything. He does
Oh,
all of the
nice.
mixing and live
that's
sound
awesome.
and stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
I actually graduated from IUPUI, now IUI, for music technology.
Awesome.
Yeah, I just graduated this last December, so I'm finally free to
Yeah.
join the workforce, start repaying my student debts.
Yeah. So do you have a studio like in your house, or where do you record from?
Yeah, I mean we have like a little mini home project studio. I mean I've got I've got an interface, got the preamps, a handful of nice microphones, but I mean it's definitely not like a studio or anything like that. But it's enough to get our stuff. It's enough to get our ideas plugged into a computer so we can start arranging and being able to like record and mix and being able to like put our ideas actually like in some sort of like tangible form instead of just like pieces of scrap paper from a notebook or something like that.
Or like a crappy like phone audio. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, here.
Yeah, we were doing that for a while where we
Yeah.
had the iPhone, like the voice memos, like that's where all of our
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd like turn it on and then just like toss it in the middle of the room. I was
Yep.
like, oh, I hope it picks everything up.
Yeah. Hope you're not too close to one of the amps or like the
Yeah.
drums, and all you hear is that at the end
we've
of the
done
day.
plenty of those where we've had to like we've thrown it in the middle of the room and then we realized it was pointing straight at the port of my kick drum
Yeah,
and all you
yeah,
can
that's
hear
it.
is
Boom, boom. Yeah.
Boom.
They have added an update, if you're like aware, that you can now do a second recording over the top of your voice memo. So like you could come back and put the vocals over the top, because I don't know about you guys, but we can never hear like our vocals ever
That's-
like on those recordings.
that's some good intel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
have to mess around with
always not the best choice, but at least it's advanced a
it's
little.
a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a better choice than it was.
Yeah.
So how do you all compose your songs? Are they recorded on phone and y'all kind of work through it like that, or what's the process of songwriting?
It used to be kind of like that. Now it's more of a mix between we kind of jam on something we find anything, or we go into, TJ specifically goes into MuseScore, which is like a musical notation, like the musical staff and everything, and he'll individually like pluck out certain notes and everything like that. He's really good at it. But yeah, he does all that. And yeah, most of the time now it's just kind of, hey, we have a ton of these songs that we haven't gone back to yet. Now let's just bring it back up and see if we can combine our jam aspect and the like arranging everything from the get-go.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and we honestly, between the two of us, I mean, we both definitely contribute our own ideas to the band, but Darby is definitely a lot more willing to volunteer up like a little snippet of an idea, and then that's something that we can like develop on together, versus like I'm a little bit more I don't want to say pretentious about it, but I definitely feel like I need to sit and like just kind of like stew on things for a lot longer and like to try to develop things more before I'm willing to like just like throw it out there and say, hey, what do you think? So that's where like a lot of that comes too, from like the notation software and all of that. Of like I want to like fully like flesh things out as much as I can before I
Yeah.
throw things out into the world.
How often are you all getting together for practices a week?
For actual like full-on practices, not as recently. I'm still in school, so midterms have kind of been coming up
Oh, okay.
and everything. But if we aren't practicing, like he's on the drums, I'm on the bass, we're like doing some recording stuff, like what we just talked about, of putting things in, everything like that. And I feel like none of our songs really necessarily are like one person writes all of it and everything. Like we come with the idea, and then I don't know anything about drums. I barely know anything about drums. So we have like full trust in each other that whatever we're going to play is going to suit exactly what the other person is imagining, or the same theming, just with our certain styles.
Yeah.
I think that's like really important to how we gel together. Is he can come with me to a bass line, I might adjust certain things to make it more something that I'm comfortable with too, and vice versa with the drums.
So am I accurate to think that you both are roommates as well?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
we
that's
are.
like
That's awesome.
that's the band dream,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of nice too, because it's really easy for us to just like send like tiny little snippets to each other, and then I can be like, hey, I'm busy right now, and then I'll work on it later tonight, and then we can it just becomes a lot easier to have the creative process be an ongoing thing, rather than like us having to dedicate like a specific time out of the day or a specific time out of the week to actually dedicate to being creative and rehearsing. It's like that can just become a lot more of a fluid
Oh, that's
ongoing
awesome.
process like
That's-
that.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, yeah. I don't know. very jealous about that.
Well, we were both looking for roommates around the same time.
Yeah, no, that's
perfect.
absolutely perfect. I guess, do you want to describe a little bit? I guess I have a question. Obviously, like Early Grey. I mean, was it inspired by tea?
No, actually, it wasn't.
Yeah.
That's all him
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, no, I'll take credit for that one. So a lot of my own musical inspiration comes from like 90s era grunge, like,
Okay.
Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, the big four. But it's actually off of a lyric off of a Soundgarden album. It was their first single off of their first album. The song was called Flower, and it was off of their album Ultra Mega OK. And the song is like this like really like esoteric metaphor about this girl like watching herself die, and it's like that's one of the lines from it. It's about
Early Grey.
yeah, it's like she was an early gray, and then she watches as the flowers hit her own grave or something like that.
Okay.
But
see.
I don't know, it
Nice.
was really cool, and it's one of my favorite songs off of that album.
That's
so
awesome.
I don't know.
That's-
I just troll everybody. I tell people the wrong stories. I'll be like, oh yeah, it's because of tea, or oh, it's because like I started graying at 13. I tell people different stories every time
Nice.
just to like mess with them. That's
Yeah,
just how
I
I
love
am.
now the truth is out.
I know, yeah.
Jumping back a little bit, can you kind of tell us how the band formed? Yeah.
Okay, so we met each other at IUPUI. I started off as a guitarist through jazz band up there at the school. And then, we kept in contact. We weren't like super close. We just knew each other from that. And then maybe, a couple months we'd keep in contact. We'd like send each other stupid things. Or, we'd go to like, we went to a concert one time, but we didn't know what concert it was because somebody just gave us tickets. So we went into it blind. We go down there and we're like, it was fun. If you like the music, it's fun. But it was just a piano and a guy just like singing. And we're like, oh, this is it. It's cool, but it's not our.
I think it was Ben Folds.
It was
right?
Ben Folds.
Yeah.
I thought it was Ben Folds 5 with like the 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just him on the piano. I was like, oh, dang it. But yeah, we would do that. And then eventually, he's always lived down here in Bloomington.
Yeah,
I
that's-
have not.
That's kind of a little important detail is
Yeah.
I went to IUPUI while commuting from Bloomington because
Okay.
I've lived here the entire time. So yeah, when Darby kind of transferred down here to IU, he was like, hey, I know like one person in Bloomington, and that was me. So
Yeah.
that's
And
kind of how that happened.
And we jammed a couple times in his old apartment. And, it was just like fun little jamming. And then when I officially moved down here, that's when we became a lot closer. And he was like, hey, why don't we put together a project? And that was August 2023. So right when I moved down here.
Nice.
So the project has been going on for a while, but the band didn't fully take form until about December 23 or January 2024.
So for our listeners who haven't been lucky enough to see you live, can you explain a little bit of Early Grey's sound and what genre you would consider yourself?
It's a big mixture of things. It's like pop punk, grunge. We've been diving a lot more into sort of atmospheric-ish type of things. A lot of our songs are inspired not by genres, but by specific artists. We kind of work things around. You'll never hear a song that's too similar to another. But that's kind of how I describe it. What do you think?
I would say I would agree for the most part. I think a lot of what our sound comes from is the fact that our instrumentals, like the drums, like our bass and our guitar, like it generally sounds a lot more like sludgier and dirtier, kind of a lot more towards like the metal side of that grunge scene. So think more like Alice in Chains and Soundgarden versus like Nirvana, who's more of on the punk side of that spectrum. But I mean, obviously, Darby's not going to be like growling into the mic or
No.
Yeah.
anything like that. And so that's kind of where our sound comes from, where we have a little bit more of a like a melodic vocal line versus some of that that grungy style stuff. But it's on top of like heavier, sludgier sounds.
And yeah, my voice isn't like that high. I'd say my vocal range is a decent amount lower compared to some of the other like vocalists around here. But my voice definitely fits into the middle rather than the high end. So we kind of tend to go lower to make sure it fits in and doesn't blend in if we were to like boost everything up, if that makes any sort of sense. I don't know anything about mixing. I'm just repeating what some people have told me.
Yeah,
That's my job.
Yeah. Like I guess live performance wise, a lot of energy.
Yeah.
You all have seen this perform. TJ has to be glued to the drum throne, but I'm practically like throwing myself everywhere and all sorts of.
I'm trying to get better
things.
about my stage presence.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I
takes
have to
time.
sit down the entire time, so it's I don't have quite as much freedom.
I also
around the
have.
stage and
Oh, sorry.
kick my cymbal stands down or.
Yeah, I also have like a history in like theater and show choir and dancing, so I already have that basis of like a stage face and like how you're supposed to act. And so, we're gonna have to get him to like throw something at the crowd sometime.
I don't know. I remember one show that we did a while ago. I tried to throw my sticks at the crowd at the end of the show, but it was in it was in some basement, and then I accidentally hit the like one of the cross beams for the ceiling, and it just bounced right back at me. And I was like, you know what? That's too awkward. I'm gonna stop this from now on. Like, I'm just
throw it and knock someone out in the crowd.
Gonna poke someone's eye out.
Yeah.
You were talking about some influences, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains. Who else has helped form the sound of your band? Who are your major influences?
I'll let you kind of take the lead because I kind of spat off a bunch of mine.
I guess for us to combine like Spirit Box, Poppy, and Tool and Primus, those are like our big, like we could talk a long time about those four because we both know like a decent amount. He knows a little more about those bands specifically, but we at least have like that basis. But for me, it's like Muse, a bunch of pop punk bands, the band called Covet, and then an artist named Marina. She used to be called Marina and the Diamonds. She had like tons of hits in the early 2010s, but I also like a lot of pop music too. And especially I feel like in our scene, a lot of people don't talk about pop music because they're like, oh, it's, this or this. I just like it.
I like it too.
It's fun.
It's a dirty little secret of mine as well.
I don't know. Let people enjoy things.
Oh, yeah. I've always liked pop music. It makes you more well-rounded as a musician, right? To like different genres. So, what was your first instrument, and how did you get into being a musician?
My first instrument was drums. I started drumming in 5th grade, so I think that's about 14-ish years ago now, or something like that. It's kind of crazy to say that out loud because I've been drumming for more of my life than I haven't. But I started when I actually moved to Bloomington. I used to live in this smaller town called Seymour, and then when my family moved to Bloomington, my mom was like, hey, you need to not be sitting in the house for the entire day. And I was like, no, because I was a 5th grader. And then she was like, you're about to do music lessons. And I was like, okay. But I was always a little ADHD ridden kid where I would always be annoying my teachers, like tapping on my desk with my pencils and all that. So, drumming was just kind of a natural progression.
So you kind of naturally jumped right in?
Yeah, I guess if you count my my ADHD pencil drumming, I've probably been drumming for 20 years now at this point. Who's counting?
Yeah.
When you first started taking drum lessons, is it something you immediately connected with, or?
Yeah, it was pretty quick. I took lessons at Melody's Music's first location, and when they were still back in that tiny little house, and unfortunately they closed down recently. But I'd taken drum lessons from I think I remember his last name. His name was Dave Dwinell. But I know he taught a lot of local drummers because he's been teaching for a very long time, and he's an amazing teacher, an amazing instructor. If somehow you're out here hearing this, Dave, I still remember you.
For me, it was technically bass when I was 12. I took 2 weeks of bass lessons, and the teacher wanted me to try to read the bass clef, and so I stopped, actually. I didn't want to read music at that time. Yeah. And, when you're 12 years old, that's the first 2 weeks you've ever really done something hands-on music, and they're like, hey, read this whole thing. It's really hard. And then in high school, so the bass just stayed hanging up on my wall for years. Then my senior year of high school, I went out, sold the bass, bought this like really crappy, like it's this sparkly red like Telecaster sort of thing, and I got it specifically to paint it. So I used that, and then about a year or so later, about a year, yeah. So I'm a freshman in college. I meet TJ. Then after jazz band, I start playing bass. And so I've kind of been doing that ever since.
Nice.
I have a much younger history of like music than he has. He has had a long time to hone in everything.
Yeah, no, I've been I've been basically drumming nonstop since I was in like concert bands and jazz bands and like marching band and basically anything with the word band at the end of it that you could do in middle school or high school. So yeah, no, I've just had a lot of time, just a lot of exposure to that kind of stuff too.
That's awesome. Now, what about your voice? You said you were doing theater and stuff?
Yeah, I did theater. I did show choir and theater the last half of my high school experience. I was extremely shy. Like, I did not talk to hardly anybody, which now it wouldn't seem like that. But I had like undiagnosed ADHD at the time, and that was kind of clashing with everything. So I would just get really nervous. And then when we started figuring all that out, and I started, getting the proper treatment, everything, like I started to really come out of my shell, because now I don't have that internal feeling of, all this stuff. So I get out there, and I've always been in the lower range. I've always been put either as like an alto, or they'd have me drop down into like tenor range. And my like higher register isn't really fully developed. It's not like I don't like using it, but if I don't have to, like I'm not the person that's going to belt out and key change. Like that's just not who I am. I like more of a steady flow of everything, I guess you could say.
Sorry. Okay. Well, pause. Let's see. So you've been a drummer for a really long time.
Yeah.
What is, for both of you, what is there any like beneficial piece of knowledge in learning about anything with your current instrument, or any tips or tricks or aha moments that have like popped into your brain while playing, maybe even just playing with Early Grey in general? Like, has anything changed your playing styles or transform a different like knowledge of your instrument?
I don't know. So this definitely isn't like Early Grey specific, but I found specifically when I was growing up that trying to learn how to play other instruments as well was really beneficial for having an understanding of how music works as a whole. And you can take those kind of like broader concepts and, be able to apply it to your own instrument. And I'm speaking like very vaguely, and like at a very like abstract level, but like a couple of things that I'm talking about in specific is like music theory. I still like air quotes know how to play piano, not like really, but I know all of my chords and all of that stuff because I spent a decent amount of time just like trying to compare what I knew from, I played low brass instruments throughout all of high school as well. And so I was trying to constantly compare things to what I knew. I knew how to play like keyboard percussion instruments. And so just being able to like constantly draw those lines and draw those connections between between different instruments of even completely different types. I mean, I'm talking like brass instruments like trombone versus a marimba, You know what those two instruments have in common? About nothing. So just being able to like think at that abstract level and being able to kind of understand what's going on as a whole, you're kind of just able to have a better understanding of things that will help you with your own like songwriting as well. Because a lot of there's always a joke about how punk music is just 4 chords and the truth, but you can get like a lot of punk music is a lot more involved than that, and a lot of genres have a lot more depth than I think most people give them surface level credit for. And being able to have that background can really help you kind of dissect that and really be able to appreciate it, so that you can also kind of take those lessons and apply it elsewhere as well.
Yeah. Also is a great chance to overdub a fun like trombone into a part of one of your songs, right?
Yeah. What's your favorite part of being in the band? Is it performing? Is it the actual composition of songs? Is it the friendship?
I'd say for me, it's all three. I love performing. I just feel like that's just kind of like ingrained in me. But yeah, and of course the music and everything. And then, yeah, we've been friends for a while now. So we are literally siblings at this point. Like, I'll text him, I was like, hey, can I come downstairs? And he'll literally just be like playing a computer game. I'll literally just be like sitting in his room doing nothing. So that's a big part. And that's a big part why I like obviously doing early grey. And, you know, there's just something music-wise, too, that we are still getting towards, but we're closer. There's something there that we just haven't hit yet, but we're just so close to it.
I don't know. I hate the friendship part, actually. You know, Darby just gets on my nerves all the time. It's like total. No, I think for me, the two biggest things that I really appreciate about being in this band are having a creative outlet, and being able to collaborate with other people like regularly, which is really nice, because especially when I was going through like this music technology program in college, the like collaborations between other students and like that stuff was like, they definitely tried to like incorporate that as much as possible. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's a college program, you know, it's kind of still few and far between. And so just being able to like have a dedicated project where it's not just me, and being able to bounce off ideas off of somebody regularly and kind of almost like get a sanity check and make sure I'm not going like way too off the walls, or if something sounds like crap, she'll call me out on it, you know.
Or just to watch it transform differently than maybe you even expected, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's
And I think too, like having like somebody come in with a like playing a instrument that focuses in like harmony and melody versus a specifically rhythmic, you know, instrument definitely puts a lot of different perspective. I mean, that's what you do when you go into a band, but you know, especially with us coming from completely different backgrounds, you know, I think it definitely puts in a different idea.
You both have mentioned like enjoying playing live. What are some of your favorite venues in Bloomington to play? Spaces. I'll say spaces in general, not necessarily.
The Oracle was a lot of fun that we just played the other day. Really nice people. Super nice, like well thought out. Space was big too for a house show. And then we really like Baker's Haunted Train. We've played there twice.
They're about 15 minutes south of town. But they're a really cool venue. They host shows during the, you know, not horrible weather seasons, because it's an outdoor venue.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're listening to this and you have a house and you had any inclination to potentially start up a house venue, please do.
Yeah. We would, but we don't have a house, so
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think the tenants next to us would very much appreciate us throwing a house show. They probably already hate us enough for like
Get over it.
For
practicing in the apartment.
Yeah, and I mean, as like on my drum set, I have like the silent cymbals and like the mesh practice heads and all that. But I mean, it only does so much.
Yeah.
It only takes so many decibels away.
It does help, but I don't know. It's the reason why our neighbors hate us instead of gotten us evicted. So
Yeah.
What is it about live shows that y'all enjoy? Is it the performance part? Is it getting the reaction from the crowd?
I like both of those things. You know, I like wearing different fun outfits and, you know, like I said, like, you know, be crazy and throw myself around and hit cymbals and all sorts of things. And then I just really like people's faces. Like I think our music, we have such a variety of like slow and fast and various different genres. I feel like everybody, no matter what style that you like, what genre that you like, you're at least going to find one of our songs that you enjoy. And I think that has definitely contributed to, I'd say, some fairly like rapid success, in our first year and stuff like that. It's just everybody, I feel like, is able to find something that they like. And, I always kind of find it funny where people who don't look as if, they'd be into our music, all of a sudden I'll like look out to the crowd and I just see them like either like smiling or just like headbanging to something. So that's always fun.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think my favorite part about our live performances, I've got 2 answers here where one of them is actually being able to interact with a bunch of the other local bands as well, because it's really cool to be able to see what a lot of the other local guys in the scene, what they're working on, what they've been doing, and how they've grown specifically too. Like this last show that we played at the Oracle, all 3 bands we've played with before, and it was just incredible, like how great they sounded last night, especially not last night, a couple of days.
Nights ago, but
Anyways, by the time this podcast is out, it's gonna be weeks ago.
Yeah.
But just like being able to see like other bands grow too, especially because like a lot of those guys are like really close friends of ours as well. That's really cool.
Did you play with Bleeder and Final Girl?
Yeah.
Leader, Final
Okay,
Goal,
yeah.
and Bachelorette. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and those guys are all awesome. I love everybody in all of those bands.
Mm-hmm.
I think my slightly more selfish part of the answer is being able to play my instrument at the volume that is intended to be played at.
Yeah.
Because, it's like we do so much of our practicing in an apartment. It's like this is the time that I really get to like hammer out on the drums, and it's like the time that I get to like bust out all of the cymbals that I spent money on instead of just the cheap practice cymbals that I have to play to not completely piss off the neighbors. So that's the selfish half of the answer.
Yeah. I guess, do you want to explain, both of you explain your gear? Just geek out on it?
Geek out on it a little bit. I guess I can go first.
Yeah, you go first.
Yeah, so my current kit right now is it's a set of vintage Ludwig Vistalite kits, or drums. I can hardly speak today. That's okay. But basically they're these acrylic drums that they made back in the 70s, and they made them like in a bunch of different colors. And it was actually one of those things that John Bonham was famous for doing. Was what he pioneered was he would take these acrylic drums and he would take huge drum sizes, and because these drums were naturally bigger, they would naturally want to sound like lower pitched. But what he would do is he would like crank them up pretty high, and so what you would get is this like really unique tone that was like very, very specific, very like signature sound for John Bonham. And those drums are why that sound got famous, and those drums are part of the reason that John Bonham has the John Bonham sound. And so it's really cool to be able to like own pieces of history like that as well. But a lot of the fun part about that is that since they made all of these drums in a bunch of different colors, plus the fact that it's so old now that people are selling off like individual drums here and there. Basically what I did was I bought like one drum of each different color that they made back in the 70s. And so I have like I have like a green snare drum, a yellow kick drum, and from my 5 toms from high to low, I have a purple, an orange, a clear, a blue, and a red tom. And so I just got like one of each, which is really, really cool, and it's really fun. Plus it's an eye catcher, And I'm definitely of the opinion that like the best possible instrument that you can play is the one that inspires you to play it, not necessarily the one that has like the fanciest pickups or like the the largest price tag or anything like that. So those are the drums I'm using. I have a collection of a bunch of different cymbals right now, but I'm using primarily mainly Zildjian cymbals. I have 14-inch A new beat hi-hats. I've got a 23-inch A 25th anniversary ride, and then most of my other cymbals are K Custom Darks. But yeah,
Those darks are awesome.
they
look cool as hell too.
They're beautiful. I also have I have this like 22 flat top ride that was discontinued a while ago. That sounds gorgeous. I love it.
And he's still building, so that's never going to stop.
Yeah, no, the gear collection doesn't stop.
Every single interview we go on to, it's like, what do you all play? And he's just going to keep adding more and more and more onto it.
Pretty soon that'll be the whole interview.
Yeah, it's just going to be, it's just me an hour talking.
It's like, what are you even doing here, Darby? This is my drum interview.
This is your interview. This is your interview. But, well, my setup is much simpler. I have a Mark bass amp and, a little amp head, and I only have 4 pedals. My big rule for myself is no more than 4 on my board. I guess the only thing that would change that specifically is if I needed to get an equalizer, but no more than 4. It prevents me from buying excess things. And I really think specifically for me, I hate like stacking pedals and everything like that. Like, I don't want to have to readjust every single pedal. It's like, oh, I'm using this one and this one at the same time. I don't like doing that. I just want one, hit it and go sort of thing. And it takes a lot of extra time too. And so that's my little like amp and pedal setup. And then my bass actually is handmade. I handmade it with a friend, and it's kind of a parts caster, I guess, like a little mix, but it was originally a Yamaha bass neck and the pickups and the electronics in it, but the body is all like handmade, like handcrafted and everything like that. Nice. So that, and awesome. I did it, yeah. It took me like 3 months to do, but it's totally worth it. Totally worth it. It's nobody else in the world has that one awesome. At all. And so it's something that even I might have mentioned it a while ago too, possibly another interviewer, maybe talking with somebody, but it's kind of come to a point where since both of us have such unique instruments, when you see one of ours, it's us because nobody else has it. Nothing of ours is really stock. So it's all, if one of us are there, if one of us or both of us are going to be there because of what we have. Yeah. And so that's always been really cool, kind of having like a symbol of who we are as well.
What a Yamaha
TRBX 304 bass.
Okay.
How'd you shape the body? Did you do that by hand or?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I had my dad, it's based off of another bass. It's called like a Status. It's European. It's from the UK. But my dad, we did an outline of it. I got like a blank. I pretty much just taped it down there, traced it with a Sharpie, and then I just started cutting.
That's
that's
I
really
learned
awesome.
a lot of stuff on the way, everything. And I even named it Bite because when I was routing out the pickup cavity, the router would keep sliding off and biting into the rest of the wood.
Oh, shit.
So that's why I call it Bite.
I feel like I'm going to have to talk to you after this interview. I have a Yamaha bass that I never play with because Yamaha basses weigh like 5,000 pounds.
Oh, I love it though. I love heavy basses.
Yeah, I'm too small. And it's just like, but I love the neck on it. Like the neck reminds me of like I used to play shred guitar, and it reminds me of like the shape of a shred guitar. But it's like I never play that bass because it's too heavy. So I'll have to talk to you later.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. What did you use? I'm just curious.
It was, oh my God, mahogany, I think, and sapele. Nice. So if you haven't seen the bass, TJ's already given a great, colorful description of his drums. Yeah. So I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it for mine.
Go nuts.
But it's 2 mahogany slabs on each side, and in the middle there's like a sapele piece of wood, and it's like a bright birch color almost. And so they were glued together. They already came shipped glued. Okay. I didn't have to deal with gluing anything, and that would be a nightmare. So it's that. And then I took a car vinyl. It was a carbon fiber strip, and I put it on my headstock and like a stripe down the middle as well.
Cool.
So technically kind of got like 3 different colors on there as well. But
that sounds rad.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. I guess we're going to enter what we call, we don't call it this, but we're going to call it this now, I guess, is the dream state of the interview. And you're going to tell us your dream venue as well as a dream band to open up. I guess I say open up, but join the bill. Oh, they can open up for you or you can open up for them. That's your choice.
You go first.
You're going to make me do this? Okay.
Yeah, you have to.
Give me a second.
They can be dead or alive too. They don't have to be presently alive. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll say maybe this isn't quite like a venue, but I think my my current like somewhat realistic dream goal would be to get one of those like 11 a.m. spots on like a major music festival, like like Louder Than Life or
Yeah.
Sonic Temple or like Aftershock or just like one of those like huge music festivals that have like all these like it's like 4 days, like all these huge names. I just think it'd be like there's like a bunch of smaller bands that they play at 11 a.m., noon, 1 p.m. before anybody actually gets there, and so I think that would be a super cool and also somewhat realistic, somewhat attainable goal. As far as like artists to open up for, I don't know. There's like so many really, really cool modern artists out there.
I'm surprised you haven't said Spirit Box
I was
already.
about to say, I love Spirit Box. I love Poppy. I mean, we've talked about them a little bit in the beginning of this interview as well. Yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts?
So
You put me on the spot.
yeah,
again.
honestly, Louder Than Life, of course, would be fun, but for like a completely different thing, I'd honestly really want to play Coachella. I think it'd be so much fun to have, a completely different style. Don't know if people would actually like us or not, but it'd be fun to do. Just drop on in there and be like, hey, and then do that. Honestly, rock wise, Muse would of course be fun. I've been a huge fan of them. Spirit Box and Poppy too, but another like weird crazy thing would honestly be one of those like K-pop groups too, because their music is so different. It'd be fun to like just jump onto that and be like, oh, some of you may hate us, but we're here.
Yeah.
Is it too late to say baby metal?
No, seriously. Okay, baby metal, yes. Baby metal or Bandmade would be so much fun.
I saw Baby Metal, and it was one of the best concerts I've ever been to.
I'm so jealous,
yeah.
actually.
They
was-
sound amazing.
Yeah, it was insane. It was insane. Yeah, the crowd reaction, the show they put on themselves. It was one of the coolest concerts I've ever been to. That being said, what about dream setups? If you had a dream rig, dream kit, what would you rock?
I'm kind of content with my stuff, honestly.
So after the explanation from you both, sounds like
Yeah.
you both have some
I've
pretty
kinda
dream
hit-
gigs already.
I've kind of hit my dream. I guess the only other thing would just be like getting an official bass from the one that I created mine off of. That would be really cool to have that. Hey, it's now, I'm not just copying yours, but that'd be fun. But I'm pretty content with what I have right now.
I think I'm also pretty content. I would say if I really want to dream big here, I think it'd be really cool to do the Danny Carey thing where I have like this giant like 42-inch gong behind me. Like I think that would be sick. If that didn't cost like $10,000,
Right.
but
We could probably find some school and just be like, hey, can we rent this?
yeah, but I don't know. I've seen Tool live a couple of times, and like the Danny Carey setup is like it's so elaborate, but it's like he utilizes like every single inch of every drum. It's really
awesome.
something else.
Awesome. Well, do you have any shows coming up here?
Yeah, so we have nothing. No, this is coming out in April.
April 15th.
Okay, so that will be right after. So this will be coming out right after our one of the shows that we're supposed to play, and it's like this crazy exhibition sort of thing. We actually have to run straight to that rehearsal right after this. But then by the time this comes out, we will be playing a charity show. Don't know where it's going to be at. The location will be up by the time this is out, but it is a charity show to help raise money for the homeless shelters here in Bloomington. And we're both pretty big on, we've been wanting to play charity shows for a while, but nobody has really like contacted us. We didn't really know where to do it. And so it's nice to be able to start doing those things, especially help the community out. They've done a lot for us, and we want to give a lot, as much as we can, back too.
Cool. Where can people find you? Where's the best way to contact you, find music?
Our Instagram is going to be the number one spot that's where we post most of our shows whenever they pop up, whenever we announce new shows. It's at early.gray.official on Instagram. And
Gray
that's Gray with
spelled
Grey. I'm the one who named the band, and I always forget if it's EY
And
or AY.
I'm always the person who has to remind you how to do it.
Teamwork.
Yeah, that's definitely the best place to see any of our upcoming events, any announcements. If we start to put out new things, that's what where we're going to be posting that. It's also our Instagram DMs are probably the best way to get in contact with us as a musical entity rather than us individually.
Yeah,
But
that, or there's like an email. We have this little email.
well, it's also like in the bio of the Instagram.
Bio,
so if you found the email, you're already there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we appreciate y'all coming on and spending some time with us.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
So I have a couple shows coming up on May 5th we're playing WFHB Local Live, and Riverview Rondo will also be playing 629 at Bryan Park for their evening in the park.
You can catch my band, The Devil Lettuce, August 29th in Louisville at Magnolia Bar. May 24th, somewhere by Fort Wayne, I don't know where. And we're playing Baker's Junction at some point. We had a date, but it's got rescheduled, so stay tuned for that. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and YouTube, Noise and Nonsense Podcast. If you're interested in being a guest, email us at noiseandnonsensepodcast@gmail.com or shoot us a message on Instagram. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.